Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. It's the Large Guys podcast. We're here for a Fight Bites interview. This is actually the first interview that I'm able to do with a wrestler. So I'm actually really excited, maybe a little bit nervous because it's a little new for me. But we are joined by Promise Braxton. You can find her anywhere on the Texas indie scene, especially with a Reality of Wrestling, where she's become a mainstay. Promise, do you want to just introduce yourself, tell the people what you're about?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. My name is Promise Braxton. I am a reality wrestling superstar from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Texas raised, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And perfect. So you just mentioned that you are originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Of course.
Proud to be from Pittsburgh, I assume.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you still keep up with stuff going on back home, like sports teams, a lot of your homies and stuff like that?
Sports teams, not really, because they've been very disappointing lately. Hockey, the Penguins are pretty cool. The Steelers are iffy, and no one gives a crap about the Pirates, if we're being honest. It is what it is. I like the Astros. Okay. They win stuff occasionally, but I appreciate the homies. Definitely. I'm still very well connected with all my friends. We talk daily. I'm not sure if you know the name Christian Noor. He's a wrestler out in Pittsburgh, and we talk almost every single day.
Okay, cool. So just talk to me a little bit about your early career, especially starting in Pittsburgh when you first learned to wrestle. And I do know there are a few pretty well-known names coming out of Pittsburgh, especially around the time that you started training. So just kind of tell us what that was like and what even got you into wanting to wrestle.
I've wanted to wrestle since I was a kid. Some people grow up wanting to be doctors, lawyers. I watched wrestling and was like, okay, that's it. Didn't really put eggs in any other basket. So when I joined, I was very hesitant because it's just it's very intimidating, especially coming from a female standpoint. So I emailed 2 schools, one being IWC, and they never emailed me back. There was another school called PWX, and he emailed me back immediately. And this was I want to say March of 2016. And he's like, just come to the school, just come down and just hang with us for a little bit. I'm like, nah, I gotta wait. And we kept pushing it off. And it was June. He's like, come down now. I'm like, I guess I got nothing to lose. So walking into the school, I thought I was bodybuilders and, people like Batista and Goldberg. It was just normal people. It was so normal. Everyone was so cool. I got started with Lee Moriarty, the main event, Duke and Gannon, a lot of other people, but it was so cool. Everyone walked with me. Everyone was super sweet. I kind of was so dedicated where the trainers were super, super hard on me. Anyone else could do something, I do. And it was what are you doing? How dare you? I'm just well, everyone else was doing it. Come on. But it was definitely an experience. I definitely got my basics from Pittsburgh. It's definitely been a road from Pittsburgh to reality of wrestling. It's definitely been different, I should say. But I'm super grateful for all the experiences.
Awesome. And you mentioned reality of wrestling, and it's something we talked about in the intro. What exactly brought you down to Houston? Because obviously Pittsburgh is far up north. It's a different lifestyle. The East Coast is different from being in the South, especially in Texas. So what even brought you down to Houston in the first place?
In 2018, my mom moved. And at first I was just well, move then. I don't care. But then it was kind of 6 months later, I'm dang, my mom really moved. What am I supposed to do here by myself? Yeah. So she took my 2 younger siblings with me, and along with my stepdad. So I said, I'm going to move down there. And she's like, yeah, move down here. The whole time she was encouraging me to move down there because at that point in time, wrestling was very stagnant for me. It was just kind of going through the loops, wasn't really doing much. didn't know how to break out, didn't know how to just maneuver around things. So she's like, well, look at schools down here. And I'm like, okay. So I just went on Google. I'm like, oh, snap. Booker T school was in Houston. I'm like, well, how far is the school from your house? She's like an hour. So I'm like, okay. So it was like 6 months later to that date, I just moved down here. I stayed up here for like 2 weeks. And I just called the school one day, like, hey, like, can I come down? And I remember being on the phone with Booker, and I remember being like so excited. He was just like, just come down. We want to see what you can do, and let's do it. Went down there, and it was just like instant love. Everyone was super nice. Everyone was super like sweet to me, and I kind of just like fit right in from there.
Awesome. Yeah, and you mentioned just kind of being able to fit in. It does seem that, like, I guess based on some of the other people that like I follow on social media and just the way that y'all interact, that a lot of basically everybody at Reality Wrestling is really like a family. Can you kind of just speak to, you know, how that just makes it so much easier to be able to like train and do shows together with all of them?
It's easier when everyone gets along because everyone wants everyone to succeed. You know, everyone has different goals. Everyone has different just things that they want to achieve. So when everyone gets along, everyone pushes each other. Everyone wants everyone to grind. Everyone wants everyone to succeed in this sport, whether it's going to the top, wrestling on the weekends, winning a belt, or just anything in between. So it's definitely nothing but love in reality wrestling.
For sure. And now, so you started your career in Pittsburgh. You're down in Houston. You've been here for, you know, about 4 years, right?
3 years. It'll be 3 years in September.
Okay, 3 years. What are some of the differences? I guess it's kind of a two-part question. What are some of the differences just kind of living in Houston compared to Pittsburgh? And like when I saw you at the New Texas show, like 3-4 weeks ago, you mentioned something about how like the weather and like there's no season and whatnot. So I can totally understand that. But what are some of the differences just living in Houston compared to Pittsburgh? And also, what are the differences wrestling, you know, predominantly in the South compared to when you were in the North?
Well, to answer your first question, the difference in like just the atmosphere, I would say it's very different, as in Texas is very flat land. There's no hills. There's really not many bridges. Pittsburgh is the Steel City, the city of bridges. It's like 800 bridges in that city alone. In Houston, you can drive 30 miles and get there in 30 minutes. There's feeder roads. We don't have that. When the first time I seen a feeder road, they said, get on the feeder road. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What is a feeder road? Like, what does that even mean? They're like, you see that? You can get on the highway. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, to me, it didn't make any sense. But in Pittsburgh, it's anything, you can get anywhere in Pittsburgh in 15 miles, but you're going to get stuck in traffic. There's tunnels, there's bridges. Things aren't that far, but they're far. There's traffic. There's not too many lanes. It's probably 4 at the most. Here, there's like 8, where you got to get over to the right. Good luck. Like, good luck everyone else, and just turn that. But wrestling difference, there's a lot of lucha down here. I mean, we are close to Mexico, so it's that type of thing. Up north, it's more so, how do I say this? More so like the grappling style.
Okay.
So, yes, it's very technical up there. Like, they're very big on just like chain wrestling and stuff like that. So coming from that type of style to now you got to do lucha, or try to at least understand what lucha is. At first, it's pretty difficult, but I'm really like loving lucha right now, to be honest.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna see you doing some shooting star presses.
Oh, you got carried away. You got carried away. You got carried away. Maybe a cartwheel. That's the most I can do.
Okay. How about something off the second rope? Maybe.
Maybe the third, but we'll see.
Okay, cool. We'll be on the lookout then. You heard it here first on the podcast. All right, cool. So also I appreciate real quick that you still call it the feeder, because I live in Dallas right now and they call it the service road, and there's always like there's always like this weird rivalry anyway between Houston and Dallas, but like they always call it service road, and it's the feeder because it feeds you into the highway or the freeway. Like it just makes
The
sense.
service road, I probably wouldn't even take it.
Exactly, right? Yeah, it makes no sense. And also, I assume that you appreciate the Texas U-turn underneath.
Yes, yes, because in PA, that is not a thing. You make a U-turn, the cop will be there in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
There's
yes.
no, you just got to keep going till you can pull into a highway and come out, and
Exactly.
that could be miles and miles and miles until you got to turn around.
For sure. I think the Texas U-turn's got to be one of the most like convenient things
It is. It
ever
definitely
created.
is. Seriously.
All right. So you mentioned you were on the phone with Booker T when you first, or before you even got to Row. What's it like, especially now that you've been there for almost 3 years, just working with, a legend like him, a Hall of Famer, somebody who has so much experience and knowledge in wrestling, being on TV and winning championships? What's it like just getting to learn from him?
It's absolutely a dream to just get his insight on why things may not make sense, on why you should and why you should not, and just crisping up on like the little things. He's been such a phenomenal help just from getting up, positioning, and everything, anything that he tells me to do. I might not get it right immediately, but it's definitely something where I can watch my footage back and be like, okay, this is what you meant by that. Or like, I'm one of the people at the school, I ask the stupid questions. So you meant this? And they're like, yes, I meant this. I'm like, so you meant this, and this? He's like, yes. I'm like, well, I'd rather ask you a million questions now than get yelled at later. So
For sure. And besides Booker, are there like other people within the school that you think are like great resources that you get to like kind of tap into every single day?
of course, I don't shy away from asking for help whatsoever. I actually encourage it from anyone that's starting out, because things can make sense to you, but once you get into a match and you realize why that didn't work or that formula doesn't necessarily, create what you wanted it to create, you realize why. I go to my veterans, people who been in the higher spots. I go to people like Ryan Davison, Ed Stone, Aiden Cristiano, Gina Medina, Tommy Bolton. It's just the people who have been there longer than me, and they can be honest with me on if I should have or if I shouldn't.
Awesome. And I guess to wrap up this part of it, again, kind of going back to Booker T, is it kind of like, do you ever just kind of stop and just think that like what a dream and like how fortunate you are to be able to have him, to be able to talk to him? I would assume that he's pretty accessible like throughout the week and stuff like that when he's not, out traveling.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm definitely fortunate. Sometimes I do look back at it and like, oh, like 3 years ago I was preparing to move and stressing about if this plan would even work, dumping all my eggs in the basket, quitting my job, moving from, the north to the south. Like, would this even work? And for him to know me personally, for where I can say like, what's up, Book? How's your day going? Me talking to his children, showing love to Miss Charmel and his mother-in-law. Like, it's an absolute dream come true.
Awesome. And real quick, just a shout out to Charmel. It was announced that she's going to the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for her. Long overdue, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to her for sure. It's a big moment, especially since the Hall of Fame and Mania is going to be in Texas this year. I think it's no time like the present for that to happen.
Absolutely.
All right. So next thing I want to talk about is you are a former Road Diamonds champion. And I want to say you won, if not within a year, around a year of being with the promotion. Just talk to me about, first off, just winning that title. It's a pretty prestigious title. A lot of pretty well-known female wrestlers have held that title before. What was it like to win the title the night that you won it? And also just knowing that, Booker and everybody else in the promotion had, enough confidence for you to carry and that title and be their champion?
It was overwhelming. I have a habit of not living in the moment too much. I kind of like sit in my feelings and kind of just be like, do this, do that, do this, do that, instead of just being like, hey, chill out, just enjoy what you're doing right now. So when I won the title, it took me like an hour to like realize like, damn, like I just beat Roxy and Hyun for this title, like two of the most like prestigious women in Texas wrestling. And I got this belt right now. And it wasn't even a year, it was 10 months. So to come in and take it, it was just like, wow, like it was overwhelming. It's still very overwhelming just to like see like the history books of the title and seeing my name in it. And just like, wow, like it's been done. Like not the dream has been done, but the goal has been complete. And I'm hoping to capture that title again sometime near in the future.
Throughout your time at Row, even though it has been, a fairly short time, you've had a lot of different matches and kind of feuds with people like you mentioned, like Roxy, the current champion, Rachel Rose, AQA. I believe you had a first ever tables match for women with Hyun recently.
I did.
What's it like being able to work with, those various wrestlers, especially with people like Roxy and AQA, who, Roxy was on ROH, AQA just got signed to AEW. We just saw Rachel Rose on Impact recently. What's it like to be able to work with such like really talented people that are also peers? And, how much have you enjoyed being able to have, big time matches with them?
It's been incredible. I love working with that certain group of women because we all bring the best out of each other. It's let's do it. Let's hit hard. Let's go out there and put on a show. Roxy, I would say, is my favorite opponent of all times. Roxy just one of those people where, I mean, the name Roxy just stands alone by itself. Roxy is just one of those people who is just such an incredible performer. Like I've always told her, I'm super proud of you, like from the bottom of my heart, and I can't wait to fight you forever. As far as the other girls go, all of them individually, they stand out. Every one of them are so different. You got Hyun, she's hard hitting, she's a fighter. You got someone like Rachel Rose, she's like a sneaky little blonde, and you gotta catch her when you can. You got someone like AQA, she's flying in the air, and you look up, and she's going to attack you whatever way she can come catch you at. So it's definitely cool to wrestle girls like this. This is a point in my life where I don't think I would ever forget.
Awesome. And is there anybody that maybe you haven't had a chance to either work at all or haven't had a chance to have as many matches that you're thinking down the road, I want to be in the ring and test myself against this person or that person?
I would say Jasmine Allure. She and I just had a match about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I don't want to say it, but
now speak your mind.
Promise B slipped on a banana peel and kind of slipped up and lost, but she's definitely one of those, like, she's so small, but she's so strong, like mentally and physically. She's so good, but I'm ready to fight her again. I'm ready for that one-on-one again.
Okay, cool. So hopefully we'll see that in the future. As I mentioned, some of the other girls on the roster have been different places, but we also saw you on AEW Dark last year. Is that correct?
Yes, back in August and September.
Mm-hmm. What was that experience like? Because obviously AEW Dark is a great chance for a lot of maybe lesser known or not as well-known talent to kind of get some shine on a platform like AEW. What was that whole process like? How were you contacted, and what was it like just being able to wrestle on that type of stage?
It was definitely an experience. I thought I would be more nervous than like anything, but it was so crazy because I remember not being nervous. I remember feeling in my element, like, oh, like I could do this 24/7 if I had the opportunity. But I was contacted by one of their employees, Sean Dean, Captain Sean Dean. And it was a few weeks later, then Thunder Rosa contacted me like, hey, like, shoot a message over to Sean Dean again. And it was like set in stone, like probably 2 days, like to just come down there. And I think the first time I was there, it was in August. It was in Austin. Yeah, it was in Austin in August. That was a tongue twister. But but I remember just like everyone was so nice. I met some of like the OGs, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, the Paul White, and everyone was just super, super cool. So like just preparing for the match, like it's just like light camera action. Like you see all these people outside. And to me, I like wrestling in front of a lot of people because I can't see anybody. Everything gets so dark, you can't see individual faces. It's just like everything is just one. It's like an old WWE game where you can't see faces.
Right.
So like it's easier for me that way. But it was definitely cool. My first opponent was Abaddon.
She's different.
Different. Definitely definitely a cool chick. Very, very creepy. Don't want to spill the beans a little bit, but you know, very nice woman. So it was definitely an experience. I would definitely do it again.
And you mentioned somebody that was instrumental in you getting on Dark. You mentioned Thunder Rosa, who also runs her own promotion based out of Texas. Shout out to Thunder Rosa. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually had the opportunity to be on the first Mission Pro show. Is that correct?
I did.
Awesome. What was that like? Because obviously Thunder Rosa is a pretty big name, especially now. Like as we're speaking right now, I'm pretty sure she's going to win the title on AEW. Fingers crossed. But what was it like just being able to be on that first show, especially for a promotion that's, you know, for all women? And what has it been like just being able to go back there time and time again?
It's definitely a cool promotion. The first time I was there, it was a tag match. It was Killer Kate, myself versus Jenna Lindenberg. And we had a really good match. Really, really cool, hard hitting, hard strikes. You know, Vert Vixen and her kicks, you know, knocks the lights out of anyone. It was definitely an experience. Mission Pro was definitely one of those places where I feel like most female wrestlers dream of performing because it is ran by women and it is a fair environment. So from there until now, it's cool. And I like it. And I hope that, like I said, tonight, Rose is up for the title. I hope she gets it. I really do. I know she'll get it. I don't have to hope. I know she'll get it.
Same. All right. Next thing up, Mania weekend is coming up, as I mentioned, and luckily it is in the great state of Texas, in Dallas, Texas, where I currently live. So it's perfect for me. I get to see a lot of different shows that are close by. I don't have to book a hotel or anything like that. It's great. Don't gotta buy a rental car or anything like that. But there's a specific show that you're on, and it's for the Sherri Martel Classic. Now, can you just explain a little bit about what that show is going to be like, and what are your expectations? I assume it's to win. I know Booker T said you were the chosen one recently on Raw, but what are your expectations for that show?
I mean, you just said it, it's to win. I hope to go out there and represent Booker T and Stevie Ray's friend, you know, with respect. You know, she's someone that people, they only remember her for her managing work. They don't remember her as a wrestler. She was a very good wrestler in the 80s. You know, she made certain stars, Shawn Michaels. I couldn't say necessarily made, but she kind of helped a lot of people. Shawn Michaels, the Macho Man, Harlem Heat. So to go out and represent her and to win it, you know it's going to get done.
Do you kind of like see yourself as like a wrestling historian? somebody who's kind of like a student of the game, always trying to learn from the past and seeing if, you can find something that was successful then and try to, utilize that in what you're doing today?
Yes, I definitely like to study wrestling. I always tell like some of my young cats now, like watch some of the things from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. You can find footage from the 50s. Watch it. You see, I mean, it's kind of hard to watch because it's TV from the 60s. It's black and white and it's a whole bunch of crunch. But the best thing about wrestling is to learn from it. The do's and the don'ts and the mistakes and the things that worked and things that never worked. So I like to watch everything, honestly, like literally everything from old school to New Japan to Lucha to American to the British style. Everything is like, I just like wrestling in general.
Okay, cool. If you had to, recommend like one specific match for somebody to watch, maybe either they're new to wrestling or don't really know much, what are you gonna recommend to them?
I would say Hana Kimura, rest in peace her soul, and versus Julia. That match, it's a Stardom match, and it is absolutely amazing.
Awesome. All right, so anybody who's listening out there, that's the one. That's the one that Promise is suggesting. So that's one I've never even seen. So I'll probably try to see if I can.
It's super, super good.
Awesome. Do you perhaps know who you're facing in the first round of the Sherri Martel Classic?
I have no idea, and I really don't care.
Yeah, you're just gonna be whoever they put in front of you.
I mean, I'd rather it be the I would say the harder opponents, but the most difficult opponents, so I can just just walk through to the finals and just win my title, trophy, or whatever it is, and go home.
There you go. All right. Now we're gonna end with just a couple like kind of more personal things, I guess. Some wrestling, some non-wrestling related. The first one is so like with your character or your gimmick as Promise Braxton, how much of that we get to see, like on screen and during matches, how much of that relates to who you really are, like in regular life, real life, I guess?
I would say like 85%.
Okay.
I'm very nonchalant, like in real life. I'm a very serious person, but I'm not too serious. Me personally, I try to be realistic with everything that I do. So I try to use that formula inside the ring. How could I beat my opponent sufficiently, easily, and the quickest? And that's how I kind of like go by day to day. How can they say the lazy worker is the smartest worker. They're going to find ways to get it done faster and more convenient for them versus sitting there and trying to analyze, in a mathematical sense of, oh, how can I make it as big as possible? No. I'd rather beat somebody, whether the ref is looking or not, smack somebody in the face, knock them out, and win and go home.
Right.
Move on to the next opponent. So I would say around 85%.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like, and from what I've seen, it's like you're just all about winning. It's all about getting that dub. Doesn't matter what you got to do.
It's all about belts, championships, and money. That's what this business has been built on. So if anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying.
For sure. And this might be like maybe a dumb question, but a lot of times when you're coming out, in your entrance, the fans are booing you and they're probably going for whoever else you're, lining up across the ring from. Is that something that, kind of gets to you when you're performing? Is it something that you feed off that actually makes you want to like go even harder? Like, what is that like?
I don't care.
There you go.
They're booing me because they know I'm going to win. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like the Steelers, the Steelers is fighting, facing the Lions. I boo them too because, there's no way the Detroit Lions are going to beat the Steelers. I mean, so it's just like that type of thing. Like, do I really care? Is that gonna stop the Steelers' performance? No, it's just like, you guys are sore losers. You guys should cheer for me because you guys know I'm going to win this, especially when you see my finisher. my finish has literally, it's a 99% chance I'm going to win. Only one person has kicked out of it.
Mm. Awesome that you bring that up, because your finisher is the Broken Promise. And the first time I saw it, I was just kind of like, I don't even know what I just saw. But if you could, especially for people who don't know what your finisher is like, could you just please explain what exactly it is, and how did you even come up with a move like that?
It's a face buster air raid crash. And it's literally just a modified F5. So and I got it from just looking at Brock Lesnar. I've always wanted my own move. You think of some of the greats in wrestling, they all have like a standard move. You know, Triple H has the pedigree, Shawn Michaels has the super kick, John Cena has the AA, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, how can I create something that fans have never seen before? So it just took a lot of just like watching things and like seeing and figuring out how can I do a move to every single person versus, you know, being one of those moves where it's limited. So it just took a lot of like studying and just really just figuring out, going to training and going to the gym, you know, gaining some more muscle to be sure that I can do it. So once I kind of figured it out, it was like, okay, I could do this. So when I debuted the move early last year, I would say February, like people were like blown away. Like, the same reaction you had. Like, what was that? Like, I don't understand what it was, but it's cool. So it's definitely an original move that I'm proud to call my own.
Cool. And even the name of it, Broken Promise, is something that like quickly you're able to come to mind, or was it something that like took a while to even like figure out what am I going to name this? You know, because it's got to be
the fans
like,
named it. The fans
okay.
named it. I didn't name it.
Okay, cool.
I did not name it. Like the fans kind of like took over, and then watching one of the matches back, and the commentary just kind of just took over. So I'm like, I guess it's cool. I like it, honestly. So it's cool.
It's very creative. You have a lot of tattoos. So I guess because a lot of people that I know that have like, you know, are inked up and stuff like that, you know, a lot of it kind of is very personal and means a lot to them. For you, you know, what does that signify? Is it just something that's kind of like a hobby? Is it something that's really personal to you? Like every single thing that you've gotten really matters and means something?
Not really. I would love to say that, like, and sound all like spiritual and honorable. Like everything I got means so much to me. I'll be lying through my teeth. I would be. It's more so of how I felt in that moment. Most of my tattoos came during a time where, you know, I had kind of had the money to do it, and I was feeling low, or I was just feeling the type of way. I heard a certain song and got some stuff. Honestly, I'm not ashamed of any of them. Do I wish some of them would look better? Of course. I mean, we all go through that, honestly. But it's kind of just like a journey of life where I'm just marking myself up on what happened, how I felt. You know, some of my tattoos, I look back at them now and I'm just like, I don't feel that way anymore. But I'm not ashamed to say that I felt that way in the past. So it's definitely like it's kind of like I'm just marking my map as life goes.
Awesome. All right. Another thing that you're pretty well known for, it's in the bio, I think, of all your socials, says that you're a plant-based wrestler. Now here
Yes,
at the Large Guys podcast, a lot of times, most of our episodes have something to do with food. We love food. That's part of the reason why we even started this show, because we just like to discuss different things about food. Now, none of us, I have 3 other co-hosts, none of the 4 of us are plant-based. In fact, we're eating a lot of burgers and steak and crazy stuff that, you know, it's probably not good for you, but we like to indulge. It's, you know, it is what it is. But you haven't been plant-based your whole life. Is that correct?
Not at all.
Okay. So what made you want to pursue that lifestyle?
It just came from like I grew up Islamic, so I never ate pork.
Okay.
Pork just kind of just grosses me out just by the word. I mean, if you know what a pig is, you just shouldn't eat it. But to each his own. But as I got older, I watched a lot of like videos. I try to educate myself on things that will be beneficial for me in the future. And kind of watching videos of like sweatshops where there's chickens and they're sitting in a cage basically the whole life. And then you're slaughtering that chicken. This chicken has blood clots. Would you eat? Why would you eat a chicken with blood clots in it? And if I feel like if this was in a different era where food was still naturally made and not adding so many hormones and things into it, I'd probably still be eating meat. But it just came into like a health risk. How can I help myself in the long run? There's certain foods that's linked to certain diseases, certain cancers. And it's the way I feel about life is if I'm working so hard for my body on the outside, I should do the same thing on the inside. So it wasn't really a hard decision. I stopped eating meat in 2020, May of 2020. And it was kind of just like, after this plate of chicken wings, I'm done eating it. And, and it was pretty easy. Like I haven't had like the urge. I can honestly say I don't miss it. It's very easy for me. I've always been a picky eater, so it wasn't really hard. I eat almost the same things every single day anyway.
Okay. So speaking of being like a picky eater, since you are a little more picky, are you usually just cooking your own food, or are there like certain spots that you found where you can get everything you need?
I mean, there's definitely some cool like vegan restaurants. There's one called Corny Vibes. It's super, super good. It's one of those places where you look at the burger like, whoa, this is, plant, this is beets and spinach. Like this is super, super cool. But most of the time I cook my own food. I'm one of those beans, broccoli, rice, protein shakes people. Like, and some people look at me like I'm crazy. It's just like, whoa, like that's all you eat? It's like, yeah, like really, I don't really. I know what works for me, so I try to stay on that path as much as I can until, I find something else that I like. But as of right now, it still works.
Okay, so like in terms of like vegetables, it's literally strictly just broccoli.
That's the only like vegetable I really, really like. Anything else is kind of like, it's kind of gnarly. Like I'd rather not.
Respect. I'm not big on vegetables either. I kind of just stick to like spinach and lettuce and stuff like that. But
see,
that's basically it. But also I'm eating, other stuff too. But that's very interesting. For me, like I've actually tried plant-based meatballs. It was just something that like I didn't even know it was plant-based when I bought it at Kroger. I was like just in the mood for pasta and wanted like spaghetti meatballs. And then when I looked later, when I got home, I looked at the packaging and I was like, oh my gosh, it's plant-based. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I ended up just making it, and it was actually pretty good. Have you ever had plant-based meatballs?
I have actually from Kroger's. I'm surprised you didn't notice because the price is like $8. So
yeah,
that's the only thing. Like that stuff it's up there in the price range.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like anything plant-based and healthier, you got to pay a little bit. I think for me, I was just like hungry. I wasn't even like conscious of like what I was buying and how much it cost. I do want to get your thoughts on like the Impossible Whopper and those different things that like other fast food joints are making. Have you tried them? Are they any good? Is it a thumbs up?
I hate Burger King.
Okay, perfect.
Like Burger King is like, me and Burger King is like, we're not friends. I don't think we ever been friends. Like Burger King gives me like chum bucket vibes. Like I just I can't, even if like when I ate meat, I've never ate at Burger King. Like it's just one of those places. Like I'd rather starve.
Okay, cool. What about like any other places that does similar type of thing? The Impossible Burger.
Like it depends, because I've had some Impossible Burgers where they're absolutely like phenomenal, but I had some where it's like, bro, like you could have kept this to yourself. Like I'm one of those people. Just give me some fries and a Diet Coke, and we're gonna go about our day.
For sure. Respect. Yeah, I've actually never even tried the Impossible anything. Like for me, I can't do Burger King either. That kind of gives me nightmares. We
It's a
actually
tough
did.
bucket.
Yeah, we did a show last week with the rest of my co-hosts, and we ranked or we talked about like our favorite fast food like go-to orders. We didn't even bother spending any time on Burger King. Yeah,
You
because
don't have to. Don't have
it
to.
wasn't worth our time. To finish this out, a lot of times when I have guests, I ask people to kind of like put the viewers on to different things. So like a lot of time, like I said, we talk about food, and you mentioned a local place that you go to that you really like. But we talk about food, music, TV shows or movies and stuff like that. You just want to put people on to like some that you're listening to or that you've been listening to lately, something you've been watching that has been really good, whether it's a movie or a show.
I'm a very, very basic person. Like most people, when they see me, they think like, "Oh, you're so cool, you're so exotic." It's like I live such a quiet and basic life. Like I don't really like TV shows. I like Family Guy. That's all I watch. Family Guy. I know where I'm gonna laugh. I don't like anything too serious. I like Family Guy and horror movies. So if you want to know a good horror movie, I would say watch the old Carrie from 1976. The new one came out a couple years ago. Well, more than a couple years ago. Let's say what year was that? 2013. That movie was mediocre. Watch the old one. You'll see some splendid acting, facial expressions, and just you kind of feel what the character is feeling in that moment. So I would say the old Carrie and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It is what it is. It's a horrible movie, but watch it. Give it a chance. It's funny. It's not supposed to be serious. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. As far as music goes, I would say there's an artist named Genevieve. She's really, really good. She's a singer. And if we're going hip hop, I would say D Smoke.
Okay, nice. I guess before like a match, is there like certain playlists or certain types of music that you gotta listen to get like kind of in the zone?
Not really. I just kind of put my playlist on and I just do like a whole bunch of like jumping. I like to like unwind my body and deep stretches and certain yoga poses that will help me just be prepared for honestly anything.
Okay, a lot more chill, a lot more relaxed backstage.
Yes.
Okay, I feel that. Last thing, going back to the horror movies, how do you feel about the fact that they keep doing like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th type movies? Like, do you care for it? Because it sounds like you're more of a classic horror. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, definitely classic.
Do you think they need to stop with the reboots and the part 2, part 3 type thing?
Yes and no. I mean, because there's always an audience for it, obviously. Like I watched the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. Absolutely horrible. They treated Leatherface like he was Michael Myers. Like Leatherface is literally a person. Like why is like you shot him 4 times? Why isn't he going down? And it didn't even like show that he was Leatherface. Like he didn't even have someone's face on him. Like that's the whole point of Leatherface. Like he hit his own face the whole time. Like it's just like I guess like
last thing, very last thing before we wrap up. In terms of wrestling going forward, what are things that you're looking forward to achieving? Are there certain places you want to be, like certain promotions? Are there certain titles maybe around the Texas scene? I know you mentioned you want to regain the Road Diamonds championship, but what's next for Promise Braxton, and where can we expect you, maybe in the next year or so?
there's a saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So I try to just go with the motion of everything. I put my best foot forward and give 100%, and things work out for me that way. So I've never been one of those people to be like, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, because if it doesn't happen, you'd be very, very disappointed in yourself. So I try to just do the best I can and see whatever, comes my way and go with the win. So do I know? I have absolutely no idea. But do I know good things are coming? Absolutely.
Awesome. A lot of confidence in yourself. I really like that. All
Thank you.
right. So to close us off, if you want to plug your socials, maybe let people know where they can expect to see you, especially on Mania weekend or upcoming shows. Let the people know what you got going on.
Everybody, you can check me out on Facebook at Promise Braxton, Twitter _Rebel Buddhist, and Instagram Promise_Braxton. Check me out on Mania, the Sherri Martel Classic. You don't want to miss it. Some of your favorites will be there, such as AQA, Danny B, Bert Vixen, Hyan, yours truly, Promise Braxton, and a lot of other incredible athletes. So definitely check that out.
Awesome. Yeah, I am definitely I haven't gotten any tickets yet for Mania weekend just because
Get your tickets.
there's just tons of shows, but that's one of the ones that I'm going out of my way to make sure like I got to go to that show for sure. But yeah, thank you so much, Promise, for coming on the show. Like I said, you're actually the first pro wrestler I've had the opportunity to actually interview, and I thought this was just a really good time, and I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to be here on the show. For us, I'm going to plug my stuff now because, we got to do it. Especially for those who are new, unfamiliar with the show, we are all over the place. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to, just run up the numbers, see where we can go from here. You can also find us everywhere on different audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Large Guys Pod, but not Facebook. I know a lot of people ask us, you ever going to start a Facebook? It's just not our demographic. It's not our people. We're a little bit young. We try to stay hip, try to be with a younger crowd. So it's like, unfortunately, I don't want my parents or my parents' friends or my aunts and uncles seeing what we're necessarily doing, interacting with us. It's just not our crowd. Sorry. Maybe one day, I tell people maybe someday if there's really, like a big demand for it. But as of right now, we're not doing it. So stop asking us about it. But other than that, we thank all of you guys who have been rocking with us. For anybody that's new, we ask you to continue to support us. See if there's anything that you like. We appreciate you guys. There's a lot of hopefully big time stuff going on in the show in the future. But until then, we'll see you guys. Peace out.